What's going on, everybody? Mitch Gibson. I think this is my first time hosting this recap, but the only reason I'm hosting the recap this week is because we're going to throw a little combined episode with the MVP podcast. I have not talked about this on the MVP podcast yet. I have not brought up the protege other than maybe some of the processes and stuff over the last couple of weeks that I've learned and some things that I'm working on. I've actually had Ryan Smith on the show recently. I've had Sean on like one of the first couple episodes, and Mr. Lugo will be joining us here in about a month or so. We're going to get that recording done, and we'll dive in a little bit more about Lugo and learn what he's doing and where he came from and all the cool things he's doing. But to get started here and to give everybody some perspective that aren't familiar with the Protege, the Protege is insurance's first reality TV show, hosted by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. David Carothers, who is the owner of Florida Risk Partners, also founder of Killing Commercial Insurance, commercial lines training, sales training class and program. He is I guess just entrepreneur, and he's also a keynote speaker. He put this show together to give some real perspective of the day in the life of insurance agents, and for us to be able to share and learn what it takes to not only be successful in this insurance industry, but also to know what it takes to be a producer selling at a high level in the middle market. So currently, you're going to be talking to, and you're seeing here right now, 4 of the contestants and still current contestants of the Protege season number 2. As we just finished up, I think, what was that challenge? Our episode 7, challenge 5, which is what we just completed, and it just came out on Tuesday last week. So we want to dive into that recap and kind of fill you in on where we are in the process and where we are in the show. We've got one more challenge left coming up here next week, and after that, it's this top 6 will be established, and those top 6 will fight to death. I'm kidding. They'll fight to the end to see who is determined the next Protege, and that entails going out and having a sales competition against the other 5 or 6 contestants that are remaining in the show. So it's extremely exciting and super fun, and I'm still glad to be even having a recap show, because if I didn't make it to didn't make it to this far, I probably wouldn't be on the recap show. So I'm joined by Mr. Ryan Smith, Jonathan Lugo, and one of my best friends, Mr. Sean Kirby. Welcome to the show and welcome to the recap, my friends.
Thank you, Mitchell.
How's everybody's day so far? And did we like the feedback everybody got from challenge number 5, which was determining and sharing our value propositions and how we can add value to our prospective clients in each one of our niches? Ryan, how did yours go? How did yours go? What was the feedback you got from your challenge 5, and what was it that you made sure to focus on?
Yeah, very, very short, very candid feedback video from David, which I basically summed up in our group text, where I talk too much, and that was the feedback. And I mean, he warned me before he said it. He said it's going to be the shortest and maybe come off a little harsh, but he says it's because I cared about you. And so basically he said, man, you're too wordy, talking too much. And so he kind of just explained why that's a problem for me, and it was real quick and to the point, and point received for sure. So that was really my feedback. That was it.
Does when you talk too much? Sorry, I think you're gonna ask that, Mitch.
No, I was gonna say, what do you mean by talk too much? I mean, you talking about like in your submission videos when you send in your what do you mean by?
That's definitely a part of it. Yeah, because he kind of pointed out, that I did a video of me essentially in a meeting speaking to a prospect and kind of laying out what our value proposition is. And that portion of the submission was probably 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. Well, then I was feeling like it's pretty out of context, so the next day I recorded like an explainer video to show before, and the only part I was in that episode, the only part where I was in was my call with my coaches and talking about I don't want to come into the meeting and just start spouting off what my value proposition is and what good things they can get from me. So essentially my submission video is me. I've already discovered what their problems are. And so I've got this group of value adds that I can use in a prospect meeting. So my actual submission video was me explaining these 3 or 4 items that would help them with their issues. So altogether, it was over 10 minutes, 10 or 12 minutes long or something like that. So that was a part of it, but then also just the actual submission video just kind of says, just too wordy, got to get it down more succinct.
Makes sense. I want to go back to that, and I think it can benefit a lot of other people in the process of selling the insurance and in general. Because I had a little feedback about another challenge about how I was getting too wordy explaining something to a customer. I mean, these customers aren't insurance, college degree graduates. There's only one of those that's an insurance college degree graduate, and that's Ryan Smith. And it shows that, and that's not a bad thing, Ryan. Like, you're educated, you're there, like you get the process, you get what you're doing, and you're passionate about your product. But when we think about going and selling something, or someone calling us to sell us something, what's the last thing we all want to do?
Yeah.
Just sit there and hear, you know what I'm saying? So I not to take your negative and be negative, to try to take your negative and see how we can help each other and also other agents out there, understand of why we can't be always just wordy. We all like to talk. I mean, that's what we do. We're in sales because we all know how to talk to people and we love to talk, but sometimes I'm the biggest advocate of them all. I am the worst at not shutting up. Hence right now, I'm going to shut up. Lugo, how'd your challenge 5 go?
It was pretty much along the same lines. So I basically made a 20-minute video, talked for 20 minutes.
20?
And up until that point, for those new to the Protege, just hearing about this for the first time, there aren't a ton of rules. We basically have an open-ended challenge, and we go out and create some sort of format, work product submission along those lines. So up until that point, I'd done 5-10 minute videos, screen shares. I recorded this one 3 times.
Oh no.
And each time came out to about 20 minutes. And so basically what happened is at sort of this point in the competition, Mr. Carothers had already decided 5 minutes was pretty much a max. So it was almost like a rule was added. And so unfortunately, mine sort of fell through the cracks on this one. I did benefit from it because I put a lot of thought and time into it, of course, but I probably could have done a nice 5-minute presentation and done better. I did, like you did, Mitch, talk about agency training videos, a little bit different because it's not so much safety, it's more of transactions and I guess legal safety. So I did talk about that and also some details of the insurance cost structure. So total cost of risk and some of that as well. But, oh well, I learned.
Sean.
Yes, sir.
You were pretty up from a little group conversation we had. You were a little bit frustrated with some of your feedback.
No, this one was good.
This one was good feedback.
Yeah, this was the one before.
Gotcha.
So I was the
Okay.
top performer this week. I was frustrated the week prior. We hashed our stuff out.
That's what it was.
That one's already live if anybody wants to go back and watch that recap of the recap. Yeah, no, this one went good. To kind of talk to both Smith and Lugo's point, we always talk about it in my office as talking yourself through the close. Sometimes we want to give so much information that we walk right past the signatures and payment. Sometimes you just got to say, so here's the signatures, this is the product, let's go ahead and move forward today. How would you like to pay? And that can kind of allow you to be a little bit more succinct, and then a lot of the information can be learned through the onboarding process or on the back end. It doesn't need to be at the sales table, the prospect meeting. To kind of talk about what I did in mine, kind of similar to Smith, I took this and really developed my entire 4-step or 4 value props 100% off of wedge questions. So if I were to pull mine up, I literally had a problem, a solution, and a wedge. And then I would say the problem. I would then do my wedge question of what I would do for them to draw out the problem. should that be that, and then give them our, our solution, should that be what we need. This is actually my longest video that I've submitted at 9 minutes and 44 seconds. And like they said, after the fact was, by the way, I want these under 5 minutes. It's like shit. And I thought it was one of the most well thought out things that, we could do. Obviously our office, we're in the tax accounting, financial services, insurance, benefits, like business. So we do a lot of things. So my angles don't have to necessarily be HR tactics with Think HR, because he said, again, one of his rules that he did put into this one was, do not do what I do. Do what you want to do. Don't come in with the exact same value props as a mod analysis and those types of things. I want you guys to be your own people in this one. So I think that kind of gave me an edge, because we do things that we do the shit nobody else wants to do, which is, the tagline of the Blue Collar Blueprint.
Well, let's talk about the hats real quick that you have with the Blue Collar Blueprint. I think that's a very, very important piece of understanding kind of what you mean by we take care of the shit you don't want to, and that you wear way too many hats. Talk about I think that's probably one of the most creative, either drops that you've left yet, or that like, marketing drops that you've left, or any leave behinds and things like that. I think that's probably one of my coolest marketing little tactics on this show so far, up to challenge 7 here, or up to challenge 5 here. Sorry.
Yeah, I think, obviously David creates this show in a very specific way. If anyone watched season 1, you knew that this whole thing is to build towards the production, right? You're not supposed to have it solved. So we started with, what are your target clients? Then how are you going to prospect to those target clients? And then, what would you do if you met them at a trade show? What would you do if you had to create a marketing slick? What would be your differentiators in the marketplace, right? So I think what it's allowed for is it's made me get better every single step of the way, and really fine tune the program we have. So to back into, how the hats are, it's, what do we do that our target clients in the, blue collar field of business need? Well, a lot of them are overwhelmed with paperwork. They don't like administrative tasks, and it's a low dollar task compared to where they should be. So a lot of these people need to outsource this. We do tax accounting, bookkeeping, payroll in-house. So those are quick, easy things that are not insurance related for us to take over. So we bought these hats to go with our marketing blueprint from episode 4, and which actually played really well into the following and the next season, or episode 6, or challenge 6, which was what's your elevator pitch, is, we do the shit you don't want to do. So it says, are you wearing too many hats? Hand it to them, hand them the hat, and say, hey, we'll be back in the next 2 weeks to pick up that hat, and then see if there's anything else on your desk or any other hats you want to let go of.
So he took a creative way of, throughout his value prop and throughout his, his steps in this process. If it's always been, you're wearing too many hats, you're wearing too many hats. So now that I have maybe spent time connecting with them or prospecting with them, cold calling, dropped a marketing flyer off, I'm also going to drop this little piece of this hat off, which is going to tie everything back together. It's not the first time that they saw the Blue Collar Blueprint, or in quotes, we do the shit you don't want to do. It's not the first time that they've seen it. So when they do see it, they know, oh God, this I got to look into this. This is creative. This is something new, something I haven't been seen before. So he separated himself from his competition early on in his process, which I commend you for that. I think that's freaking sweet. For me, I know looking back at challenge 5 now, and what I was able to build was an educational training learning center for HVAC contractors. You heard Sean talk about, these business owners wearing so many hats, and that's the cold-blooded truth. A lot of these business owners think that they've got 27 hands to juggle 36 things, when realistically they only have 2 hands to juggle 1, and that's to run and control their business the way it needs to be controlled. So for me, being able to bring valuable tips, tricks, educational documents, educational training videos, OSHA training videos, things in that nature, that is going to take away from the business and the business owner of spending so much time spending that training, even spending the dollars training an individual of why ladder safety is important, and a 3-minute video can explain that. That's why, for me, that was the most important piece, was how can I educate, not only the customer, but also educate the employees. Because if the employees understand how important these things are in the conversation of risk management and mitigating risk, if they understand it, it's going to make the business owner feel a lot more comfortable when it comes to hiring a new employee. Anybody surprise you? Anybody that was on the top that you liked, their differentiator or value prop or value add?
I'll be selfish. Go ahead.
She was real good. She's been big time in the last few episodes for sure.
You say Abby?
Kevin did a great job.
You sound like you're underwater, Smith. What are you doing?
He's looking away from his mic.
There you go.
Yeah. Just Abby and Kevin. Truthfully, it's been a little while since I watched the episode, so I can't remember exactly what they did that put them in the top, but I'm guessing they didn't talk so much.
That's funny. Sean, you said you're gonna be selfish. You liked you over everybody else, didn't you?
No, that would be the ultimate selfish move. No, I had a teammate, Brian McCall, wild man Brian McCall. He's really started to jump into these top performers last couple of weeks. He is the craziest freaking person in the world. We are on this LinkedIn group, and so he's never had the internet before. Somewhere in Oklahoma, he's had the internet. He just doesn't have social media, and the amount of gifts he sends to our group is literally overwhelming. So to see him, he's the craziest person ever. And to see him start to get out of the character and into the competition has been cool to see. And he is.
Should we all be nervous?
Character. I would be. Yeah, because you don't know what he's going to do. He has a t-shirt cannon that he owns. So he is who I wish I was. And we did a team Zoom call. And I hope you're listening to this, Brian. We did a team Zoom call, and we were sitting there. I bet you it was an hour. And we get off the team Zoom call, and I text Derek. I was like, what the just happened? I was like, we didn't have one discussion about it. It's like he's a comedian. It's just just zingers for an hour. And I was so exhausted, but I was smiling the whole time. So I really hope he gets to the finals, because to see him produce and then who the heck would vote for him? I'm really excited for Brian. Good for Brian.
Absolutely. No, I would have to say Brian's somebody that I can't wait. I hope he does make it in the top 6, because I can't wait to see him actually actually out in the market, because I know he's got a phenomenal sense of humor. You can tell he's very passionate about what he's doing. I think it's the uncertainty of all of our minds maybe thinking, damn, he's good at this, but are they good at selling? Man, Ryan's really good at this, but is he going to go out and kick ass? I think that's everybody's mind right now. And, we still have another challenge or two to go, right? So at this point in time, it's I guess it's really kind of just, we're going to have to just be patient and wait and see who is what David says, kill or be killed. I hope to not be killed. Not yet, at least. I've got a lot of fellow peers in this competition who are very, very good at what they do. And I think the competition's up in the air for anybody right now, whether you make it to the top, you'd make it to top 6 or not. In my perspective, those challenges don't mean shit. So, for me, make it there and see what I'm made of is where I'm going with it. Any other last thoughts on challenge 5? Any more feedback?
I was going to say, just picking up on what you were just saying, to me, that's one of the most interesting things about the show from being in it versus watching it last year, is that I had always thought it would be 3 or 4 front runners that were really clear, and it was just the hard work of being one of those. Now I'm realizing that it's basically, you can put in what you think's a good product, but you've got 10 other people that are doing the exact same thing. And in relationship to them, you may be last one week and you may be top the next. So it's sort of, it's a different experience than I thought.
That being said, Lugo, I think one of the most interesting things is I think everybody's getting better. And because he didn't cut people, the people that had weak submissions at the front are getting really good. And you're going to have to cut 10 really, really good agents down to 6 for the next section. And I was doing the math in my head. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I think I'm going to make it, but like, am I going to make it? Because like,
I've been
there's
doing
some
the math,
odds
just
out there,
putting,
man.
or not so much math, just different scenarios, and it's like, wow, that's a tough cut to make because there are more than 6 really good people right now.
I would have to
yeah.
agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's really, really, really good people.
Let me ask you this. Do you think so far of how everything's gone, do you think season 3 changes in that way of, like you said, I noticed the competition be a little bit more heavy the last couple of weeks because people have trusted that process. And now that he's not cutting people, everybody's diving in. Everybody's got their neck deep in trying to hammer their process perfect as much as they possibly can. Right. Do you think he goes this route with season 3 to where it's, I'm not going to cut anybody until we get to maybe challenge 7 or whatever it might be? Because I think a lot of people just might be a little shy or timid or just very the uncertain. But I think that's also what makes the show fun and exciting for you as a producer, is like, I'm learning shit and I'm doing stuff that I didn't think I would do this year, because I'm in the protege. So that's what I'm taking it. It's like, it's the reap of reward of trying and giving it your all is going to benefit you either way you take it, whether you win or lose. Win or lose, we still booze. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it.
You really did go to Ball State and play baseball, didn't you?
I did. Fancy.
That's their team motto.
Excited to get back in on Challenge 6 here and discuss what some of our top performers did and how they went about creating and developing their elevator pitch and cold calling script. Yes, there's a difference. A cold calling script and an elevator pitch. There's 2 totally different things. I'm going to go around the room here and find out from these other 3 individuals, before I spill my beans, how they thought Challenge 6 went with their elevator pitch and cold call script, and kind of the background of why they went about doing it the way that they did. Mr. Ryan Smith, what you got for us? How'd Challenge 6 go for you? What was feedback like, and how'd you go about it?
Challenge 6 was pretty good. I was feeling all right about it. Going into it, I kind of I put it off till about the end as far as my videos together. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to find an elevator and like my buddy's going to get it and I'm just going to talk him. And I didn't actually do it because, the sound is awful and the lighting was terrible. But Brian McCall found himself an elevator and he made it work. I like that. But for me, Challenge 6, my feedback from David was that the elevator pitch was pretty good. It was maybe a little bit too wordy, believe it or not. And really some of the overall feedback that he gave was kind of, you want this to be more of an interactive, a conversation with the person you're talking to. So for me, it was, it's kind of hard to do that in a video submission, but he liked my elevator pitch more than my cold call script. So
same.
Very, very little feedback on the elevator pitch. When we got to the cold call script, basically he lined out that there's 2 schools of thought. One is where you tell the person right up front why you're calling. The purpose of my call is this. And so that's kind of the way I did it. And then the other school of thought, which he teaches his producers and in his agency, is to not to do that, but to kind of surprise them or catch them off guard and talk about something they weren't expecting, and to use the 2 no's and a yes approach. So I knew he did that, and heard him talk about that in the podcast a lot. I kind of did that. I included like at least 1 no to yes. I can't recall exactly, but ultimately phone script was too long. I talked too much, and yeah, I'll stop talking now.
Mr. Lugo made his way back into the top performers this week. What'd you do differently, and what advice did you take from last week and make sure that you did better this week?
First video was 4 minutes. Very proud of that. So for this one, I watched last season's episode on this, and I watched Derek's call, and he had everything typed out, did a screen share, and read through it. So what I did was just focus on really getting the script, and heard from some others who got feedback because they didn't type it out and put the work out there. So I feel like at first with the elevator pitch, I was talking about what we do, what problems we solve. And after talking to my coaches, I changed it to be more focused on describing the ideal prospect I work with. And he didn't mention anything about that. And I think it worked. So there's more I work with people who meet these conditions. And it was a problem that they have. And I think it was just presuming that I help fix that problem. And I think that worked. Then for cold call, I threw in, I knew it was going to be a tough competition this week because it's pretty straightforward. So I threw in answering some objections to try to set myself apart from some of the other contestants. And I think that worked as well. So I answered some of the common objections I've gotten and then typed out the voicemail I'd leave, which is important for me. As far as what method I used, I went with Mitch Hunt's advice. He's my coach, and he basically lists several pain points that you basically tell your client, this is who I work with. Is that relevant to you? And can we sit down and talk about it for 15 minutes? And so you basically set the appointment if it is, and if not, move on to the next one. So that's the direction I went. I know there's some disagreement on that, but it seemed to work for this challenge.
I like it. I'm just happy to see your face. I was happy to see your face, and I think you had similar to me, and you went back and watched some of the contestants from last year, focusing primarily on the winner with Derek Hayden, and I'm assuming we're probably going to hear some similar feedback from Sean since Derek Hayden is one of his coaches. So Sean, what was your feedback from David, and what types of things did you focus on when creating your elevator pitch and cold call script?
So I pretty much had my elevator script for a while. It's short, sweet, and a little raunchy. Of all the things that he said, you gotta be careful who you say that to, but contractors tend not to give a shit. So I have we do the shit you don't want to do. It creates curiosity. It says what we do, and somebody's going to have a follow-up question. It's going to entice a longer conversation no matter what. That's all I'm trying to do with that. My cold call script, I regret. I was still a top performer. It was still really good. I really, really followed the Chris Beal method from the episode of the podcast that they did together. And I don't disagree. I do like it. It's going to book appointments. It doesn't show the breadth of what I feel like I can do on the phone. However, it worked. His only thing was, I would like to see 2 no's to a yes. I did have a second script that was exactly 2 no's to a yes that showed a little bit more of our value. But then I pulled it because he had mentioned the Beal thing, because I was just trying to cater to, Brown knows the teacher a little bit on it. Mm-hmm. And I bit myself a little bit.
I've noticed that's been a pretty consistent trend of yours.
Eat shit. So I 100% do believe that you kind of need 2 scripts, because you got to be able to kind of play with them to see what's going to feel the best. And the 2 no's to a yes may be better, but this is going to book the appointment. So it depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a CFO, I'm going to use this one. If I'm talking to a business owner with 25 employees and he wants me out of his hair, right? Or I do need those, scare tactic questions, then I'm going to use the 2 no's to a yes. But it's going to kind of depend, and I'm going to feel those out as I go. So I'm happy with the results. I thought it went well. Again, top performer, Smith wasn't, so that's super important for me.
He's so Pete. Oh, Smith looks good today, man. Smith dappered up. He's probably got himself a prospect meeting. Looking good today, dude. Smith. He said,
just left court. Yeah, he just left court.
That's funny. No, I went the same way. My elevator pitch was pretty good. Same thing, went with my value prop. No different than the week before with the value proposition and the Education Learning Center and letting them understand that we're here to protect and make things a little less hassle free for you. And here's how we do it. The cold calling script, I did the 2 no's and a yes. The thing that I did was my opening remarks of who I am and why I'm calling was a little bit too long. It's probably about 4 or 5 sentences. Probably should have shortened that up a little bit, but getting them to answer the question of, did you know that you're in the bottom 15% of all HVAC contractors in the world of work comp in the state of Indiana, and getting them to hit the no there is my trigger. And, the earlier I can get them to trigger the first no, the better the conversation is going to go. So for me, being able to look back on it now, shortening up a couple of the things at the beginning of the cold call script is going to make the process go even smoother by getting him to say no earlier on in the phone call. The question of being pretty much asking him, did you know that you're losing? I don't like someone asking me, hey, do you know that you're getting beat right now? No, that pisses me off. That's what I want that business owner, HR manager, whoever it might be, that's what I want them to feel like. Oh shit, we're getting beat. How are we losing? Why are we losing? Because if they're a business owner, they're competitive. They should be. I would want to be competitive. I would expect business owners and my fellow colleagues to be competitive and not want to get beat. I mean, that ticks me off. So being able to have the business owner of this prospective client say, no, I did not know that I'm losing or I'm getting beat. Conversation's over at that point in time. And I want to get that meeting. I need that meeting. I want to get it booked immediately over the phone, but I can't get there unless I get a no first, right? So that's the importance of the 2 no's and a yes. Go watch this episode. I think there's a lot of really good things that new producers can take from this episode. I think you guys can all agree with that. Anybody have anything they liked from other contestants? I know we were very selfish in the way of we like to talk about the recap on ourselves, and that's okay with me. Anybody take any other cool things other than somebody being in an elevator?
Again, I had 2 teammates in this one, so I was really excited to have Mr. John Lyons in there, as well as Mr. Brian McCall, who literally was in a elevator. Did you hear David's feedback on Brian's?
I didn't listen to the feedback. No.
He roasted his freaking jacket so hard. He goes, hopefully you actually pressed your jacket in real life and you were just acting in that elevator. Hopefully you didn't find it in the back of your closet all bunched up and on the ground. And I was sitting there, I'm like, come on, you didn't need to put that part in the episode, David. Say what you will. Say what you will.
Hey, it's his show. He can do whatever the heck he wants.
Rocky, you got to step in a little bit on that one.
Rocky, you do whatever you need to. We know you're out fighting fires. We know that you're out saving things out in the world. You take your time. Don't listen to a fucking thing Kirby says.
Either way. But yeah, no, I think it's a testament to having some awesome coaches between me, John, and Brian, that all 3 of us were top performers. Sedlak is one of the most amazing, weird human beings I've ever met in my life. He takes a lot of time to give back to the industry, and he loves cold calls. He's an old ADP guy. So he helped a lot on this one. He actually blocked time and did a cold call block with Andy a couple weeks ago, and they both walked away with big accounts. So this stuff works if you do it. And that's the beautiful thing. It's just, these coaches, at least my coaches, really want to see you do it in real life. They don't really care much about the show.
No offense, David, but I mean, that's true. But that's why he's got them as coaches. That's the whole purpose of what the protege is about. And it's to give you the resources, the people and the connections to be able to build a process, build marketing strategy, build cold call scripts, the stuff that you probably sit in your desk and scratch your head and go, how can I do this? And then you set it off to the side. How can I do this? As a new producer, the first thought is, how am I going to be able to do this? How am I going to be able to make phone calls? How am I going to do this? So you set up the process, and this shit's easy. It's easier. When I say easy, I mean, it makes the process, makes everything easy for you when it comes to talking on the phone, having your information there. You should know right now, all of us, I guarantee you've asked us what our value adds were and what our value proposition was. We'd all be able to tell you, because we've worked on it so much for the last, 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 months here, that we became familiar with our own process and what we're doing. It's just second nature. It becomes second nature. It's the muscle memory thing. You can go shoot 3,000 shots on a basketball hoop. You do that every single day, it's going to become muscle memory. Same thing hitting baseball fatigue. I mean, you want to switch your swing up, you're going to hit it. You're going to hit 25, 30 buckets of baseballs a week, and continuing to teach yourself how to become a good hitter. Same thing when it comes to producing here. How are we going to continue to grow ourselves as producers, after the protege? And that's where the accountability piece comes in us. Is like, he's giving you a playbook, he's giving you a sales book. Go freaking win now. Go freaking win. So any other feedback? Challenge number 6, episode 7. We got one more challenge left, don't we? Before I think that's the last challenge. 7. Is there 7?
Yep.
We got one more challenge left after this one. So one more. Wait, we got one more. We got 2 more. This is
one we've already done and is about to come
Challenge
out,
7.
and then
Yes.
one after that. So it'll be 8 total. I was doing my
8.
math. I was like, man, was I supposed to submit
wrong.
something over the
Did I
weekend?
miss something? ADHD
Right.
got the best of me.
Yes, sir. You're okay.
The only
It'll be
thing
fun.
that goes along with this challenge, the cold calls, that we hadn't really talked about is kind of the mental piece of it. And I know you spoke to it a little bit, Mitch, about, you got to get the game plan in the process and hit those 30 buckets of balls. But man, when you're sitting down to actually do the calls, especially for someone that's new to it, that can be really difficult. I don't know how you guys, what your career has been like, but for me, I've never had to do any cold calls before. So
Same.
the last couple of months when I've been stepping into it and doing the script that I had before this challenge, it's been rough. And I've had some appointments here and there, but it can really be a numbers game at this point. To get familiar with your script or your 2 scripts. Sean, I really like your take on that.
I do too.
Being able to bounce off of one or the other depending on who you're talking to. But that the mental part of this is so huge. And for me, as you all know, a bit of a perfectionist. I want it to be perfect before I start on something. So getting the no thanks click over and over again is just killer sometimes. So I don't know, how do you guys feel? Just wanted
The
to
same.
be vulnerable about it myself.
I feel like I must be doing
Nobody
something
likes
wrong.
it.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
It makes me feel like maybe I'm doing something wrong all along, and then it's like, no, wait, I need to make one more call, and then I make one call and set an appointment. It's like, yep, it's a numbers game. So
100% numbers game. I think for me, I'm excited because it's I'm a very comfortable person with uncomfortable situations. I'm very good at being uncomfortable. For me, I'm excited to actually start picking up the phone and calling because, like, I hate saying this, but I'm tired of writing home and auto insurances the last 5 months. Like, I'm ready to do something, to change it up a little bit. I love writing home and auto insurance, but it's like one of those things you get wore out doing the same thing. That's why I enjoy the position I'm in, because I can go do something. I can sell this, I can sell that. I can, for me, it's something we've all feared, is making the cold calls and picking up the phone and calling 30 times a day. But yeah, that's not my model and not what I'm going to do, but I'm going to start cold calling. And I'm anxious to see how it goes, and being able to write down whether it was a successful cold call or not is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, did I get that meeting, per se. Because at the beginning for me, it's, did I feel that the cold call went well? Was I smooth? So I'm kind of going to put myself on a grading scale the first 5 to 10 calls to make sure that I am, on par with the process. Should those first 10 calls maybe be the top 10 on my prospective client list? Probably not. Right. So I think that's another thing to identify, is as I'm starting to, if I'm completely new to cold calling, maybe I should start with some smaller clients first and work through this so that I know whether it worked or did not work, or what script, like Sean said, what script worked better. Maybe make tweaks to it, whatever it might be. Use a rubric, get yourself prepared, and then go after those big ones. Right. So that's my advice there.
I would recommend a couple other things too. Is one, physically, is how we, if we're not in a comfortable position before we make our calls, like just physically, then you're not going to be comfortable on the phone. So you want to stand up, you want to get in a comfortable position. I don't know about you, I'm a pacer. All I had since I was a kid, I've been on the phone walking around. So for me, putting my AirPods in and walking while I do it makes me comfortable. Does it stress out everybody else around me? Yeah, probably. Do I not have a computer in front of me to answer an immediate question? Yeah. But for me, that takes away the little bit of that anxiety and allows me to kind of decompress a little bit and allows me to get one more rep in. Another thing I would recommend is look at it as a process. So don't think you just have to send or just call. You can do a call, text, email. You can do a call, text, email, and then a postcard. And you can say, hey, I missed you. Hey, we didn't get to connect, but I'd love your contact back. And again, it goes back to the extra 2 minutes of, did some guy call me and leave me a voicemail? Did some guy call me, email me, and send me a postcard? He knows the problem I have, because realistically, if I've got 10 seconds to tell you why I'm calling and you say no, then you're never going to know why I'm calling. There's a problem. There's this glaring problem. I know your mod's over 1, so I'm going to take, Mitch has his little, you're in the top 15% or bottom 15%, send a mail and say, if you don't believe me, read it. If you're not going to open my email, read it. And I think it makes it a lot easier if you know why you're calling. If you're just calling to sell something, yeah, it's going to feel like shit. But if you're calling to solve the problem, because I beforehand, due to my very definite prospect list, know that there's a problem and I can fix that problem. So that's something that makes it more comfortable for me.
Just what you're doing is you're putting the accountability on that client a little bit. You're taking the accountability off of you. I mean, you've sent him an email. You might have sent him an email with an attachment. You might have did a drop off like he said, and then you call him and say, hey, I missed you today when I stopped by. Wanted to see if you got that note I left you explaining how low or how bad your workers' compensation experience mod is. You're letting them think about it. Oh, did I miss something? Do I need to go? Let me go look. Or I'm slow. And then you can just hit them with I'll send it. I'm still going to send it to you again to make sure that you received it. Yada, yada, yada. I mean, you're putting some accountability back on them to say, for them to think and realize that I missed something. If I did, oh shit, I shouldn't have missed that, So, all right, we've gone too long on this recap. I don't want to bored everybody. I hate saying that, but we did. Anybody got anything before we head into our last challenge? The last 2 challenges.
Lugo?
Not much.
Good job, buddy. We're proud
Mr.
of you.
Smith.
Thank you.
Look at him. He's trying to stop. He's trying not to talk.
That's right.
Hey, you're working. You're practicing. I love it. David's going to see you're working on it on this episode here. Sean, what do you got?
All right, boys. We're running towards the end.
That's it.
We all know what the last challenge is. I bet you guys will put money on who can be a top performer.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
We'll make David grade who has the best one, the last one. You guys want to put money on it? You guys got cash?
I mean, what's the money line?
Who's going to be a top performer, or who gets the last immunity spot?
Ooh, last immunity spot.
I'm gonna say it's Brian McCall.
Oh man, I would love it for it to be Brian.
I'm gonna say it's Brian McCall.
Brian's riding a heater right now.
I'm gonna say it's not gonna be me because I have been late submitting my challenge the last 3 weeks, but it's part of it.
I'll put my money on Brian.
I'm gonna go with Brian on immunity. I'm gonna go top 6.
Ooh, yes. Let's play a guessing game.
I'm gonna go
jump in on this one.
I'm gonna go top 6. Us 4. Ryan, McCall, and Abby. I'll say it.
All right.
That's my top 6.
Yep, me and Abby. I would guess the immunity. Man, I got to go with Kevin. Kevin's been killing
he's
it
a
the last
dog.
few months.
Damn, dude, it's so hard to even. Gosh.
But like Karen's been awesome too. Karen Seifert.
Yeah, she's been
in a bunch of the finals.
Damn.
Brian McCall's on a heater. Dude, John Lyons, though, he's been the top probably 4 or 5 times too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. This is tough.
It's like all pretty much even.
Yeah.
My goal is to be in the top. My goal is to be in the top next week. And I'm not focusing on being in the top 6. I'm focusing on being top next week. If so, that gives me a good position to be in the top 6.
Get your submission in on time, Mitch.
I'll get it in. There's no
All right,
excuse.
boys.
I'm not going to make excuses.
Yeah.
I didn't get it
All
in.
right, boys.
All right, gents. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you guys next week. kill or be killed.